All right. More tariff stuff. Oh boy, I love tariffs. I guess we're doing the whole new rigmarole fuck McGee with tariffs again. Let's do more tariffs. Yay. Wasn't there like some deadline or some bullshit and that's why people are talking about this complete nonsense again? Whatever. I mean, we're starting with Canada. In letter to Carney, Trump announces 35% tariff on all Canadian imports to the US. That's so epic that the US is going to be forced to pay more taxes. Because again, let's not forget what an import tariff basically is. Whoa. It's just like forcing the U.S. consumer to have to pay more for products, because that's what always fucking happens, right? Company orders a particular thing from across the border or out of the border or whatever. They bring it in. There's a tariff that gets slapped on that product, and oftentimes that'll be furloughed onto the consumer when the corporation is just like, we have to pay for that doodad or whatever, has to justify like, well, we just lost profits, now we have to raise prices in order to justify this loss in profits because of the dumbass in chief who has like this particular obsession with the 1880s, thinking that tariffs are like how tariffs work. It's like a civilization game where you do tariffs and all of a sudden you make more money out of it. It's like, that's not how that works. Like, or rather, you make a trade deal and then you make money out of it. It's like, that's not how that works. This is not. Doesn't work like that. It's silly, it's stupid. What do we have here? Probably have to read this in Trump's voice. Probably. Whatever. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, it is a great honor for you to send this letter. In that it demonstrates the strength and commitment of our trading relationship. Oh wait, no, this is fucking. Oh, this came from the White House. No, this came from the White House. Why is it saying like this? Nah, it's weird. Whatever. And the fact that the United States of America, has agreed to continue working with Canada, despite Canada having financially retaliated against the United States. Dude, you were the one who initially attacked us. You wanted to annex us. You were saying that we're the 51st state, and we're the ones that slapped the initial tariffs, right? Those are the 25% like steel and aluminum tariffs, because I don't know, it's really really funny that you're complaining about those things in particular, because man, you could definitely source a lot of that stuff for your stupid dumb fucking car manufacturing sector very very easily. Yeah, retaliated is very rich coming from Trump. Whatever. As you would recall, the United States imposed tariffs on Canada to deal with our nation's fentanyl crisis, of which like 0.2% comes across the fucking like border from Canada. Again, most fentanyl that comes in up through the south of the border comes in through legal ports of entry. It's not illegally fucking smuggled in, which you seemingly think you do. It's really fucking stupid. Which is caused in part by Canada's failure to stop the drugs from pouring into our country. Instead of working with the United States, Canada retaliated with its own tariffs. Yeah, because again, there's no evidence or basis for any of this shit. It's just like schizo fucking idiot fucking nonsense. It's fucking stupid. Because again, it's like 0.2% of Fent goes through the Canadian border into the United States. The basis of these tariffs is just stupid. Starting August 1st, 2025, we will charge Canada a tariff of 35% on Canadian products sent into the United States, separate from all sectoral tariffs. Goods transshipped to evade this high tariff will be subject to that higher tariff. As you are aware, there will be no tariff if Canada or companies within your country decide to build or manufacture products within the United States. Well, that's what this is really all about. It's like stupid, dumb fuck isolationism bullshit when, again, the United States does not have the current facilities in order to be able to justify doing these idiot, dumb fucking tariffs. Like, when I'm saying that this shit is just really, really dumb, and that the Trump administration is doing this for, like, basically no reason, this is what I mean. This stuff is stupid. It's based off of basically nothing. And it's just incredibly rich and idiotic that these fucking charlatans and morons and these troglodytes are just doing something that is not economically sound and is being done off of the basis of basically fucking nothing, right? Saying that, oh, it's because of all the fentanyl that's coming into the United States through the Canadian border. It's ridiculous, dude. I think they're just mad about our swag or something. I don't know. Whatever. Decide to build or manufacture products in the United States, and will do everything possible to get approvals quickly, professionally, routinely. In other words, in a matter of weeks. Really? There's no fucking way you're gonna get the approvals to plot the land in order to be able to build all the fucking factories. And it's gonna take a lot of time to build the factories. Again, this isn't like fucking Factorio where you plop down building and then all of a sudden, oh, factory, look at factory. It's just like, that's not how that works. It's stupid. If for any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever number you choose to raise them will be added onto that 35% that we charge. Also, I must mention that the flow of fentanyl is hardly the only challenge we have with Canada, which has many tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, which cause unsustainable trade deficits against the United States. He still doesn't understand the reasoning why he has a trade deficit with us. You attempted to fucking bully OPEC into lowering fucking oil prices. It didn't work. The oil prices rate went up, and as a result, gasoline prices went up. This was about in 2017. There was a TikTok about this of a dude who looks into this stuff saying like, yeah, he tried to like coerce OPEC into lowering gas prices. It didn't work. And as a result, OPEC was just like, haha, that's funny. We're going to send less barrels of oil to you. You can go fuck yourself. And as a result, had to import a bunch of oil from us, thus causing a trade deficit. Because in reality, the U.S. actually had a bit of a trade surplus with us. So, whatever. It's fucking stupid. Canada charges extraordinary tariffs to our dairy farmers, up to 400%. Trump, I have some bad news for you. Do you understand what a production quota is? Oh, no? So, in order to help facilitate our own domestic dairy manufacturing, we want to make sure and ensure that not too much U.S. product floods our markets. So, what do? We propose a tariff on an amount of dairy that exceeds a particular amount. Let's say it's 1 million gallons of milk or some shit. If you decide to send 2 million gallons of milk, that extra 1 million that you would have sent gets tariffed at 400%. You fucking moron. That's how that works. It is to ensure that our own domestic fucking market does not collapse. That is the point of this is what protectionist fucking policy looks like. And I think it is reasonable protectionist fucking policy because the US produces a lot more stuff than we do. They have a bigger population. They have more land that they can use in comparison to us. A lot of the land we can't use because it is just tundra. That's how actual protectionist policy works, you fucking idiots. And that is even assuming our dairy farmers even have access to sell their products to the people of Canada. Damn, maybe you should have better regulations for your food products. Which is why, again, the European Union very often doesn't want dog shit, substandard fucking American products. Because, again, you people don't regulate any of, like, the HGH or other fucking hormones that you use in order to pump up fucking cows with, I don't know, a bunch of, like, a cocktail of drugs in order to be able to try to sell more milk to people. It's fucking ridiculous. He still doesn't fucking understand how, like, the main reasonings for as to why people don't buy a lot of, like, shitty fucking goddamn U.S. products. The trade deficit is a major threat to our economy and indeed our national security. Dude, a fucking trade deficit that you caused is definitely a major threat to your fucking economy. You get the fuck out of here with this bullshit. But it's not only fucking Canada, right? Japan and South Korea face 25% tariff if Trump ramps up war in letters to 14 nations. Again, because for whatever reason, he thinks sending a letter means you're getting a trade deal done for whatever fucking reason. And when no one is replying to his dumb fuck letters, he gets mad about it, sends a letter saying that we're going to tariff you. And it's just like, okay, This is really fucking dumb, dude. So, bunch of Southeast Asian countries are being tariffed here. And also Bosnia. What the fuck does Bosnia even send to the United States? Like what? What do they send there? It's stupid. So what? He's extending the negotiating deadline to August 1st. Stocks drops on tariff news. New U.S. tariffs debut from 25% on Tunisia to 40% on Laos. Treasury Secretary says inbox full of trade offers. I don't believe him. And Trump threatens BRICS nation with additional tariffs. I believe that is specifically what? Brazil. We'll get to Brazil. So, U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday ramped up his trade war with telling 14 nations from powerhouse suppliers such as Japan and South Korea to minor trade players that they now face sharply higher tariffs from a new deadline of August 1st. The imposition of a levy of 25% on U.S. importers of all goods rattled Wall Street, with the S&P 500 getting knocked down. The markets in Asia were taking their news in stride. Yeah, because at this point it's just like, okay, whatever. Some bullshit anyways. In letters to 14 countries, Trump hinted at opportunities for additional negotiations, even while warning that reprisals would draw a like response. Yeah, the same thing as he did with China. Again, he ended up dropping the fucking goddamn tariffs, and then they negotiated. Because again, China was saying, like, we're not going to negotiate with you until you come, like, you just drop the stupid bullshit that you're doing. He ended up dropping the fucking stupid bullshit that he was doing, and then China decided to come to the table and say, like, okay, now we can negotiate, because what you're doing is fucking stupid. We're not going to tolerate it. Like, fuck you, fuck off. If any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added to the 25% that we charge. He's specifically going after copper, which is something that's definitely easily sourced within the United States. Totally, absolutely, fantastic, excellent. Trump told South Korea and Japan in letters released on his Truth Social platform. The higher tariffs take effect on August 1st, and notably will not combine with previously announced sectoral tariffs, such as those on automobiles and steel and aluminum. Yeah, it's just new random bullshit that he's fucking piling on, because again, he doesn't understand how the economy or how trade works. He doesn't understand how building factories fucking works. Like, it takes time to be able to do that, and all those like resources that you need to build for domestic manufacturing within the US, you're tariffing the fuck out of it, thus making it more difficult in order to build those fucking factories. But again, he's just like a stupid idiot who doesn't understand any of this stuff. Countries have been under pressure to conclude deals with the U.S. after Trump unleashed a global trade war in April that roiled financial markets and sent policymakers scrambling to protect their economies. Trump's executive order on Monday extends to August 1st, the Wednesday deadline for negotiations. Asked if the deadline was firm, Trump replied, I would say firm, but not 100% firm. Yeah, he just wants to give himself a potential out so he can, like, back off from his dumbass tariffs when someone, like, eventually gets back into his ear and says, like, hey, this is a really bad idea. Can we not do this? If they call up and they say, we'd like to do something a different way, we're going to be open to that. It was unfortunate that Trump was hiking tariffs on imports from Japan and South Korea, two of the closest U.S. allies, but there was still time for a breakthrough negotiation, said former U.S. trade negotiator Wendy Cutter. While the news is disappointing, it does not mean the game is over, added Cutter, the vice president of the Asia Society Policy Institute. Trump said that the U.S. would impose tariffs of 25% on goods from Tunisia, Malaysia, and Kazakhstan, with levies of 30% on South Africa. Really? Does he still believe in the stupid, like, white genocide bullshit? Like, why is he going specifically after South Africa? I don't know what to say besides this is just, like, really, it's just stupid, dude. The basis of these tariffs, it doesn't make any sense. And it's not going to facilitate any of the stuff that Trump is saying that it's going to do. Like, it's not going to make domestic manufacturing return. It's dumb and stupid. It's going to be harder to help establish domestic manufacturing because you keep tariffing all of the things that you need in order to be able to help build up that base of U.S. domestic manufacturing. And it's not going to bring in money like you think it is. It's just going to make poor people way more poor. Again, His dumbass like fixation on the 1880s is the reason why he's just doing really stupid and bad policy. Bosnia and Herzegovina climbing to 32% on Indonesia, 35% on Serbia and Bangladesh, 36% on Cambodia and Thailand, and 40% on Laos and Myanmar. A deal with India was close, Trump added. Boy Meets Mini, can you confirm that there was like a trade deal that's close with like India or something? Is this real? Is this true? Is there any confirmation of this? Like, what the hell is going on with this bullshit? Because I'm gonna assume, because that's like what? Apparently, that was the main catalyst for us to stop the Indian-Pakistani war from escalating. He like threatened to do like trade stuff to them or some shit. It's not very unclear what it was, and that's what brought the Indians and the Pakistanis to the table. It's fucking stupid. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said some progress had been made on avoiding higher tariffs of up to 35% that Trump had suggested recently. We have received a proposal from the United States to swiftly proceed with negotiations towards the newly set August 1st deadline, and then depending on Japan's response, the content of the letter could be revised, Ishiba told a cabinet meeting on Tuesday. South Korea said it planned to step up trade talks with the United States and that exemptions for or reductions in auto and steel tariffs must be included in any trade deal. Thailand said it was confident if it could get it can get a competitive tariff similar to those on other countries. Again, it's just like he's just doing like belligerent trade nonsense because again, he still doesn't understand how fucking trade works. He doesn't get it. In neighboring Malaysia, the trade ministry said it acknowledged U.S. concerns on trade imbalances and market access while believing that constructive re-engagement and dialogue remained the best path forward. I don't understand why people are like capitulating to this fucking nonsense. It's complete fucking bullshit. It's stupid. It's just the petulance of an idiotic man who doesn't understand how trade deficits work or how tariffs work. So he thinks it's like a willy-nilly blanket solution when it's a very specific policy that can work. Again, I point to the Chips and Science Act in particular. There were tariffs that were done on particular countries in order to help facilitate chip manufacturing within the United States, right? The purpose of it was to bring manufacturing for chips through not only specific subsidies to the companies that were going to build the chips within the United States, to build the manufactories in order to be able to do that, but also on countries that were, producing chips in of themselves in order to help facilitate a lot of that manufacturing to return. And there was, again, a benefit to this because there was an increase in manufacturing jobs under the Biden administration, which hasn't happened since, 40 years ago. Crazy. In Indonesia, Southeast Asia's largest economy, an official said Jakarta still had room to negotiate on tariffs, and a top negotiator would meet U.S. trade representatives in Washington. A Bangladesh team in Washington was scheduled to have further trade talks on Wednesday, an official said. The U.S. is the main export market for Bangladesh's ready-made garments industry, which accounts for more than 80% of its export earnings and employs 4 million people. This is absolutely shocking news for us, Mahmoud Hassan Khan, president of Bangladesh Garment Manufacturers and Exporters Association, told Reuters on Tuesday. We were really hoping the tariffs would be somewhere between 10 to 20%. This will hurt our industry badly. Yeah, dude, because this is going to do a really good job at ingratiating a bunch of countries to the U.S.'s fucking position. And it's really stupid. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said the 30% U.S. tariff was unjustified since 77% of U.S. goods face no tariffs in his country. Again, Mad King needs to do Mad King shit because, again, he thinks you make money from tariffs. You don't make money from tariffs. It's stupid. Ramaphosa, a spokesperson, said his government would continue to engage with the United States. Market drop, because we're starting to see consequences of this. U.S. stock fell in response. The news was down about 0.8%. The Asia share markets were more resilient. It was recuperating early losses, and South Korean stocks jumped up 1.8%. A lot of volatility currently. As headlines start to emerge, as more of those letters come out, as negotiations really come to the forefront for ahead of that August 1st deadline. Earlier on Monday, U.S. Secretary Scott Bessent said he expected several trade announcements in the next 48 hours. Only 2 deals have been struck so far, with Britain and Vietnam. None of the countries that are being targeted here. Well, China has until August 12th to reach a deal with the White House to prevent Trump from reinstating additional import curbs after Washington and Beijing agreed in June on a tariff framework. On Tuesday, China warned the United States against reinstating tariffs on its goods and said it would retaliate against countries striking deals with the United States to cut China out of supply chains. Vietnam and China agreed to boost trade and investment ties between the two countries during a meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Brazil, Vietnam's government said on Tuesday. This is what actually is the consequence of all this. Again, as the U.S. keeps doing idiotic, fucking belligerent bullshit, once close allies, like the Vietnamese, are just going to be like, well, we're just going to, like, help us out, like, get more trade and ties in terms of investment from, like, other people if the U.S. is just going to be, like, really dumb and stupid. This is the consequence of it. Trading blocks. The European Union will not be receiving a letter sending out higher tariffs. EU sources familiar with the matter told Reuters. EU still aims to reach a trade deal by Wednesday after European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Trump had a good exchange, a Commission spokesperson said. EU has been torn over whether to push for a quick and light trade deal or leverage its economic clout for a better outcome. They should just fucking leverage it. Just be like, okay, fuck you, fuck off. We send you a bunch more stuff than we get from you. Like, whatever. Go fuck yourselves. Damn, maybe if the U.S. was better at, like, making products and regulating their shit, maybe this, maybe people would be importing more stuff from the United States. But again, due to a lot of deregulation of these corporations and of the markets that exist within the U.S., they make subpar, substandard products, which is why no one fucking wants them. Trump also threatened leaders of developing nations in the BRICS meeting in Brazil with an additional 10% tariff if they adopt anti-American policies. Sure, man. I think it's just they just don't like you. The bloc includes, well, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But, you know, specifically, let's take a look at Brazil. Threatening Brazil with a 50% tariff and demanding an end on Bolsonaro's trial end. Keep in mind, quite literally, Bolsonaro, along with I think one of the Supreme Court justices within the Supreme Court of Brazil, were trying to organize and foment a sort of January 6th against the fact that Bolsonaro got his ass fucking handed to him during the fucking elections when they happened in Brazil in about, I think it was like 2020. There's been a trial going on ever since, and he ran away to, well, the United States, to Florida specifically, in order to run away from that, from that trial specifically. But, you know, we got, like, Donald Trump also weighing in on this shit because, again, like, he just wants, like, far-right dipshits and sycophants in power because, again, let's not even forget about the fact that how Bolsonaro won through Operation Carwash for the operation of Lava Jato, which was a complete, like, stupid conspiracy theory ginned up against Luis Inácio Lula da Silva to sort of, well, go ahead and just throw him in jail because Bolsonaro probably would have lost that fucking election in, like, I think it was, like, 2020? No. It was, like, 2016, like, 2018, 2019, around there, something like that. U.S. President Donald Trump said he was planning to impose a 50% tax on goods made in Brazil, escalating his fight with the South American country. He announced the plan in his latest tariff letter, which was shared on social media. In it, Trump accuses Brazil of a tax on U.S. tech companies and of conducting a witch hunt against former far-right president Jair Bolsonaro. Again, the dude who tried to do his own January 6th on, well, Lula when he inevitably won the fucking goddamn election because of how ridiculously unpopular Jair Bolsonaro was and how much people did not fucking like him, who is facing prosecution over his alleged role in a plot to overturn the 2022 election. Responding in a social media post, Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva said an increase in tariffs on Brazil would be reciprocated, and he warned against any interference in the nation's judicial system. Dude, if they try to, like, I don't know, deploy the CIA in order to fuck with this trial, this election. That would be fucking crazy. Crazy if he actually decided to go through with that. Trump also sparred with Lula about Bolsonaro's trial earlier this week. At the time, Lula said Brazil would not accept interference from anyone and added, no one is above the law. Yeah, because again, he was trying to foment a fucking coup, Trump. Like, that's what he was doing. Also on Wednesday, Trump said a 50% tariff on copper imports that he announced earlier this week will come into effect on August 1st. So I guess, Japan and South Korea aren't the only ones that are getting these copper tariffs? It's also going to be Brazil. Again, like, what domestic manufacturing currently exists within the United States for copper-based products? Is there fucking any at all? Like, maybe there's like a tiny bit. I don't deny it. Maybe there's a bit. But, yeah, dude, does, like, the United States have a reliable source for getting more copper to feed that fucking industry? I highly fucking doubt that. Again, this shit, it's just a really idiotic, stupid reasoning for as to why he's doing these fucking tariffs. He said in a social media post that the decision was made due to national security concern. Oh yeah, I bet. Trump has posted 22 letters to countries around the world this week, including trade partners such as Japan, South Korea, and Sri Lanka, outlining new tariffs on their goods, which he says will come into force on August 1st. Those moves have largely served to revive plans he put forward in April, but that were put on hold after financial markets recoiled at the measures. Yeah, we all know about that huge drop that happened right in April when he decided to do was this is our liberation day. We're gonna liberate, and then he decided to back off of that. It's really really fucking stupid. Yep, it's gonna be great. You know, coconuts and tea from Sri Lanka gonna be real expensive. That's true. Even if we did have the copper building facilities, it would bring so much debt. That's true, Zane. That is true. Because again, it's like you have to still import the fucking goddamn raw material from somewhere. Again, are there copper mines within the U.S.? Maybe, but to like extent from like other sort of like nations in order to be able to build more copper. It's really, really fucking stupid. Oh, they grow a lot of the world's black pepper. Well, have fun with those spice prices right now, Boy Meets Mini. But the message to Brazil was a far more targeted missive and threatened a significant increase from the a 10% tariff the White House had previously announced on goods from the country. Unlike many other countries, the U.S. enjoyed a trade surplus with Brazil last year, selling more goods in the country than it purchased from it. Oh, really? Are you actually... He's not even doing this out of like any reason. I think he's just doing this because because of Jair Bolsonaro. Because of there's a political witch hunt against Jair Bolsonaro. Let me tell you, even though he's been like fucking credibly accused of helping to foment a January 6th within fucking Brazil. It's stupid, bro. In the letter, Trump called the 50% rate necessary to rectify the grave injustices of the current regime. What? Of them, like, prosecuting someone who had an intention to overthrow the duly elected person in the Brazilian elections? I mean, you would have an understanding of what that would look like, wouldn't it, Trump? You know, January 6th. You know, he said he would order the U.S. Trade Representative to launch a so-called 301 investigation into Brazil's digital trade practices. Sure, dude. Like, what do they mean by digital trade practices? Like, in terms of, like, server traffic or something that's going to... I'm very confused. Such a move would mark a turn towards a more established legal process that the U.S. has used to impose tariffs in the past, toughening the threat. In his first term, Trump took a similar step towards Brazil's consideration of a tax targeting tech firms. Oh, so they don't do, like, a bunch of, like, probable fucking bullshit, if I were to take a guess? I wonder why they're targeting tech firms. The Brazilians. Curious. Trump, in the letter, accused the Brazilian government of insidious attacks on free elections. That's so fucking... Dude, Bolsonaro is the one who's doing the insidious attack on free elections. It's so fucking stupid. and the fundamental free speech rights of Americans, including the censorship of U.S. media, social media platforms. Oh, because they were trying to spread a bunch of election misinformation in order to justify Jair Bolsonaro's fucking coup. And the Brazilian government is saying, like, you need to crack down on this because it's complete fucking bullshit. Like, fuck off. But it's okay if, like, I don't know, Turkey with Recep Tayyip Erdogan is going ahead with that. Or Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Or Narendra Modi is also doing that on U.S. social media platforms. Then you start to care about the fucking... And then you don't care about the fundamental free speech rights of Americans. It's complete fucking bullshit. The U.S. president's company, Trump Media, which operates its Truth Social program, is among the tech companies fighting Brazilian court rulings over orders suspending social media accounts. Yeah, again, because they're probably spreading a bunch of misinformation which is not in line with Brazilian law. The country had also temporarily banned Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter, after the platform refused to ban accounts that were deemed by Brazil to be spreading misinformation about the 2022 Brazilian election. Whoa! Color me surprised. Last month, Brazil's Supreme Court ruled that the social media companies can be held responsible for content posted on their platforms. Whoa, crazy. You're telling me that there has to be responsibilities for moderation, content moderation being done on social media platforms? And that they can't just be absolute free speech shitholes like what is trying to be built with Twitter, and we all know what the fuck is going on. It's now a fucking Nazi-infested shithole. Go, say it ain't so. In his letter, Trump also spoke favorably of former Brazilian President Bolsonaro, saying he respected him greatly. He added that the ongoing trial against him is an international disgrace. Sure, man, only for you, dude. He also said the same thing about the trial against Benjamin Netanyahu. It's just like, he's just a simp to like dipshit fucking authoritarians who suck his fucking cock. That's really about it. Very, very ridiculous and stupid, even though what he did was fucking illegal. Silly. Trump and Bolsonaro enjoyed a friendly relationship with their presidency, when their presidencies overlapped, with the pair meeting in 2019 at the White House during Trump's first term. Bolsonaro also dubbed is often dubbed Trump of the tropics. Both men subsequently lost presidential elections, and both refused to publicly acknowledge defeat. Bolsonaro, who governed Brazil between 2019 and 2022, is standing trial for allegedly attempting a coup, with thousands of his supporters storming government buildings in the capital in July 2023 after Lula was victorious in the election. Yep, we've seen the sort of thing right now, saying like, dude, like, it was a bunch of Brazilians gathered in front of the Supreme Courthouse building. Like, they were just, like, standing there, chilling, with a bunch of Brazilian flags and stuff like that. And that's what he's being prosecuted for, because he told his supporters to go do that, which is seditious conspiracy. So, that's cool. Bolsonaro, who governed... Bolsonaro was in the United States at the time and has denied any links to the rioters or involvement in the plot, of course. Earlier this week, Trump had compared Bolsonaro's prosecution to the legal cases he has similarly faced. This is nothing more or less than an attack on a political opponent, something I know much about, Trump had said in response. Bolsonaro thanked the U.S. president for his support. Trump was also critical of the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, where the group of developing nations met on Sunday. Trump called the group, which includes Brazil, anti-American, and said those countries would be charged at an additional 10% tariff. Yeah, dude, because again, a random fucking trade block, which is more or less completely fucking irrelevant, is totally going to be a threat to U.S. trade hegemony, and not the fact that you're just slapping random tariffs on people and saying like, well, I don't think, honestly, what the Brazilians are doing is very honest in how they're treating Jair Bolsonaro, who's a great man, let me tell you, folks. Great man, very good. I love Jair Bolsonaro. He's very good because he sucked me off personally, but you know. President Lula fired back on Monday against Trump's social media threats. He needs to know that the world has changed, Lula said. We don't want an emperor. So, honestly, again, it's just complete, utter, belligerent nonsense from a moron who barely fucking understands trade. And also, it thinks that Jair Bolsonaro was not potentially responsible for committing seditious conspiracy, which is a crime that he probably knows all too well. Randomly attacking well-established allies such as the Japanese and the South Koreans. For what purpose exactly? I don't know. For like a made-up conspiracy theory, not even a conspiracy theory, like a made-up ideal in his mind, wanting to bring back the good old American sort of manufacturing base through doing stupid, idiotic tariffs and no other fucking trade policy because he has a particular autistic fixation on the 1880s, and that is it. This is only going to do one thing and one thing only, and that is make products more expensive on the average U.S. consumer. That is all that these tariffs have ever accomplished, because these are essentially taxes on imports that the companies, the corporations are going to have to pay, and as a result of that loss in profit from those import taxes that they have to pay on products they're importing so they can manufacture them. Whoa, crazy. They're going to, or even, it doesn't even have to be that. Also, like general finished products as well that they are bringing into the U.S. in order to sell to that market. They're going to have to raise those fucking prices in order to be able to recuperate those lost products or that lost profit. And they're going to do that on the average consumer because, again, Trump is an idiot and he doesn't understand how the economy works. This isn't the 1880s anymore. This is 2025. It's been over 145 years since that time. And again, we all know what preceded the 1880s and what the trade policies and tariffs of William McKinley helped catalyze. Oh, it helped catalyze the fucking Great Depression. So, that's cool. That's great. It's fantastic that this complete bumbling buffoon still barely understands how the economy fucking works and is willing to, I don't know, potentially bring about the fucking Great Depression to Electric Boogaloo because he has barely any understanding for as to how trade deficits work, how import taxes work, and how, like, the basis of the globalized economy works. He's just a complete buffoon and a charlatan.